was a club spot, African Americans. Although we all over the web, we the hood librarians. We ship to prisons too. We reach out and deliver to those that's bitten too, but it's more than a bookstore. You wonder we got it, mixtapes, DVDs, and culture products. BlackandNobel got our hands in a lot of projects. We welcome all to come build, the energy is positive. Every member of the team is awake and conscious. Come through and experience this place of knowledge. They say they'll put it in a book if they wanna hide it from us, but we got them books so you can buy it from us. Something to read while you on a train or riding the bus. Get your read on, food for thought, get your eat on. BlackandNobel, I buy my books at BlackandNobel. BlackandNobel, I buy my books at BlackandNobel. BlackandNobel, I buy my books at BlackandNobel. BlackandNobel, I buy my books at BlackandNobel.
Okay, this is what your body does in its healthy state. And what that is simply converting sunlight into electricity. Okay? So the supplement was designed to facilitate your body to be able to convert more sunlight into electricity. Fungus, parasites, and none of that stuff can live in an electrified environment. So when you look around and you see the studies going on, they'll say that parasites and fungus can't live in a highly oxygenated environment. But the body derives most of its electricity from oxygen. That's why we breathe it in. So they don't say electricity because then that refers to your science and your greatness and all that. They just say oxygen. So we got to learn how to translate these terminologies. But that's what it's all about. That's why we breathe oxygen. Because oxygen is actually such a acidic poison that the electron bonds that normally hold electrons to an atom are very loose in oxygen. So our lungs are able to break those atoms down and assimilate those electrons into the blood. And that's why we take antioxidants to get rid of the protons that are also there. Because when you deal with an oxygen atom, it has 8 electrons, but it has 8 protons also. So once we assimilate those electrons, we got those protons floating around called free radicals damaging the cells. Okay, good.
You know, I was saying somewhere I saw it right, like a lot of the free radicals and antioxidants that we don't need in our body, we can eliminate them just by breathing, different breathing methods, and sticking to them faithfully, like every day, certain breathing methods.
Well, yeah.
Start your health system, get the electricity back in your body.
Well, one basic thing that I'll say that we can all practice without learning any martial art or anything crazy is just to practice keeping your mouth shut. Right? Our parents told us that. Grandmothers, grandfathers, they always told us that. But now science has validated that you are actually taking years off your life that way. Okay? You're never supposed to breathe in your mouth. Always through your nose. Your nose has a very, very sophisticated filtration system to pull all of the toxins that comes into your nose out before it gets to your lungs. When you breathe in through your mouth, especially when we playing sports, you know, you get tired, you're like, all those toxins are rushing down into your lungs. This is how people that may have never smoked can get lung cancer, because you're breathing a toxic environment in your lungs.
The other thing is, I did a lot of research on that too. Not only is that the case, but also it's actually worse than breathing out of your mouth.
Right.
It is to be breathing in your mouth.
Yeah. The mouth is not made for breathing.
Breathing at all.
Right. And go ahead.
Not only that, they were saying that the ratio of oxygen and hydrogen that's needed to go inside of the body is actually more level, and it will be activated a lot better at a, I guess the oxygen and hydrogen ratio is, which it's supposed to be, is going in the body properly, as opposed to in your mouth.
Right. When it's going in through the nose, it's going in properly.
When it's going in the mouth, you're actually taking in more hydrogen than you are oxygen, and it messes up the balance. That's why you get dizzy and lightheaded when you're breathing in and out your mouth. Right, because your body can't process that air going into your mouth, because when it goes to your mouth, it's going the way food and drinks are supposed to go. So there's no system there to process that. So, stem cells. A stem cell is a... You had a question, brother?
A stem cell is a cell that can differentiate into any other cell and renew itself. Blood, or the red blood cell, is the body's stem cell. All cells, tissues, glands, organs, bones start as red blood cells. Red blood cells are created in the stomach by the villi. Okay, that's a typo. It should be small intestine. By the villi, tech genes, and the mucous membrane. Okay, so again, we learn in school that blood is produced in the bones. That's incorrect. Okay, in a healthy body, your blood is not produced in the bones. When blood is produced in the bones, your body's in a state of degeneration. Okay, now we have different hair. Okay, if your hair is not curly, your hair is straight and flanked, you cannot produce red blood cells at the same amount as somebody whose hair is nappy. Okay, so me, when I see brothers that got the super hard, super nigga naps, I be jealous, because I know what that represents. I know that technically, if me and him lived in the same environment at optimal health, he will outlive me by decades, because he can produce much more red blood cells for a longer period of time than I will be able to. Okay, so the curlier, the more you have that curl in your hair, the more healthier red blood cells you'll be able to produce. The more your organs will be able to function, because there's actually hairs in your kidney that facilitates kidney function, your liver, your spleen, on your tongue, everywhere that your mucous membrane is. The mucous membrane uses hair as a part of its nervous system.
And that was one of my questions with
Shoot.
I wanted to know, when you made the comment about how important hair is, I wanted to know what your views were on getting your hair braided and locked. That was one of my questions.
It's cool. I mean, it's cool. Getting the locks is cool. Problem with locks is you have to really work hard to keep them clean. A lot of times the roots get clean when we wash them, but the inside of the lock is not clean, and it breeds a lot of nasty bugs. But no, it's powerful to lock it up. I mean, the hair wants to do that naturally. If you just let your hair go, it'll lock. You know, so it's powerful. Braiding the hair. I mean, anything besides cutting it is a beautiful thing. You want to keep it. You know what I mean? So as long as you facilitating growth, you're in business.
Okay. Yeah. The other question I had was about the intestinal line, the
mucous membrane? The villi?
Yeah, okay. The villi. I mean, because I did go to school for a lot of this stuff too, but you know, it's interesting that you said the importance of the hair texture, because I've never heard that before. Like, I didn't know that the hair texture actually had something to do with the villi in the body. How? I mean, could you break that down for me maybe a little bit more?
Well, it's simple. The villi in the body are in the small intestine anyway, are responsible for creating blood, right?
Right.
The more curly, or in popular terminology, the more nappy the hair is, the more mineral dense it is.
Okay.
The stronger it is. So the stronger your villi will be, right? Also, if you notice, people with curlier or nappier hair have more hair follicles on their scalp, which means you're going to have more villi in the small intestine. So you're going to have more villi, stronger villi, which means that you'll be able to produce a lot more red blood cells, which means that the villi themselves, because you have optimal numbers. So your body's not just producing out of control. It produces like 3 or 4 million per second, which seems like a lot, but it's not that much. However, when the small intestine doesn't have the good bacteria, when the pH is off, and your small intestine coincidentally should always be slightly acidic.
Another question.
Right, it should be slightly acidic in order for it to function, because if it's too alkaline, it's going to kill all the good bacteria that's in there that's got to do work. Okay, so when the food comes out of the duodenum, it's the good bacteria that help to process it and feed it, so to speak, to the villi. The villi take that down, the tech genes, which is another name for a type of melanin that's in there, in cooperation, so to speak, they work together with the mucous membrane. The mucous membrane supplies stem cells. So that's basically the template right there. That's how it formulates the new red blood cells. And those new red blood cells carry everything throughout the body. Now, how those red blood cells get told what to do is they go see the general, which is the liver, that is like the alchemist in the body, and the liver will take those red blood cells and outfit them with whatever weaponry, quote unquote, they need to become whatever they need to become in the body. So if you have some tissue that needs to be regenerated in your knee or whatever the case may be, whatever the specific nutrients are that the knee, because each one of your body parts are made up of different mineral concentrations. So it'll just outfit them with whatever they need to go there, and when they get around the knee, those red blood cells will become knee. They differentiate into the knee tissue, or heart tissue, or lung tissue, or bone, or whatever the case may be. So so that's how the villi, the quality of the villi will affect. That's how it will affect the body.
So basically, what you're saying is it's best to, like, if your body ain't producing enough red blood cells, you got to see the hairline like me. See right here.
Yeah.
But so you should always be taking some of the produced.
Well, my hairline was like way back here.
Yeah.
Mine was twisted, but I got a herb formula that is regrowing it.
Oh, you don't need to tell me about that.
Yeah, I got a herb formula that's regrowing it because it's based on what you're doing to the mucous membrane inside the body. Whatever you do to any part of the mucous membrane is going to affect every part of the mucous membrane. So, case in point, ask any women that you know that has ever got a perm before. Okay? When they get a perm on their head, they can taste it in their mouth. And the reason is because your tongue, all that flesh in there, that's mucous membrane. So is this, where the hair follicles come up out of.
So what you say years ago, nigga? When you shave your head, you got peasy chest.
I mean, if the head is shaved, that's cool. But your DNA is always studying you, and your DNA takes instructions like that. So if you're telling your DNA that you don't want hair, eventually your DNA is going to start to send those instructions out, and you're going to produce less hair, which means you're going to have less villi all over the body, on top of the head, on top of the chest, in the small intestine, in the kidney, in the pancreas, all of those different places.
One day when the men, if you wear process. Compliment, alter weight. Yeah,
they was killing themselves. There's no two ways about it. The same as cats are still doing that now. They just don't know that they're wearing perms. Okay? But 90% of the wave grease is just very mild perms. So it's not like women is just perming, it's the men is perming too. When they get them wave greases, like sporting waves and all that, those are like mild perms. It's chemicals that straighten and flatten out the hair. That's what a perm does. You put in a chemical solution into the hair to straighten and flatten it out.
Well, what any particular grease or, because most of hair grease has...
Yep, the best grease to use is oxygen. Nothing. I mean, you can put some like some black seed oil, some olive oil, some coconut oil. Shea butter is excellent, heavy in vitamin E, vitamin F, I believe also. Shea butter is excellent.
Better not to use anything.
Right, you know what I mean? But if the scalp is dry and stuff like that, you put some oil on there. Coconut oil is excellent though, for everywhere. You can eat coconut oil, put it on the body. You know what I'm saying? I recommend doing that every so often. Just take a shower, scrub down good, hit the whole body, everything you can. It's hard to get certain areas on the back, but you want to get everything with coconut oil and then eat like 2 or 3 spoons of it. So you got it all on the outside, on the inside. It rejuvenates all of the skin. Because remember, hopefully we have enough time to get into it, but you have 2 types of skin, and we have to take care of both of them. mucous membrane is skin. Okay? This is skin and your mucous membrane is skin. Those are more important than anything else. Your body is like a straw. It's a tube. Okay? From this hole right here, goes straight out this hole right here. So your body's really a tube. It's a complicated tube because inside it gets like them slick straws you like when you were a kid. You know, it goes crazy in it, but it's still a tube. Okay, and all we doing is putting stuff here, and as it goes down the tube, we grabbing what we need, leaving the rest in the tube, and hopefully everything will come out. Okay, but the body's a tube. So the skin on the inside of that tube has been termed mucous membrane. Skin on the outside is what they call like your cutaneous skin or whatever the case may be. So, going into the blood, there are 8 basic types and 8 basic and commercial blood types, O, B, A, and AB. These 4 are then divided into 2 subgroups called RH positive and RH negative. RH positive stands for the rhesus monkey. Blood types are based on antigens and are named after the source of the antigen or the first person discovered carrying the antigens, or antibodies for the antigen. Okay? And that's how you know, if you don't know what antigen is, that it's something that's not good. Because the body only produces antibodies for things that need to be destroyed and come up out of your body. Okay, antibodies are your body's security system. Okay, so a criminal breaks in, the body sends out the police. And anything healthy that belongs there would not generate an antibody, period. There's no two ways about it. Okay, here's my next slide. There's really only one type of red blood cell. The term blood type gives the intimation that there are actually different types of red blood cells. This is wrong. The one and only true red blood cell is O negative. Everything else represents the invasion of the human body by foreign entities, thus bringing about the subsequent degradation of the red blood cell. The natural body is under attack by unnatural entities. Okay, this is what we have to understand. Okay, like Prodigy said, it's a war going on outside. No man is safe from it. Okay, there's a war going on inside. No man is safe from it. Antigen is a yeast, fungus, or bacteria which has invaded your family's bloodline and is now recognized as a part of the body. This is a contributor to autoimmune disease, which is when an immune system attacks, quote-unquote, healthy cells and tissue. Your body is now being created by infected blood cells. This can only be remedied by returning to a lifestyle in conformity with natural law. All healthy tissue in the body has a hue. All sick or viral cells manifest as white. Okay? That's important to know. There's nothing in your body that is healthy or functional that is white. Okay? Everything in the body has a color to it. Okay? Even white blood cells are usually like yellowish or green. Okay? How they got the term white? Go figure. Okay? So, these are the things that you see in your body that are white. That's it. No more, no less. Cancer, yeast, these guys are everywhere. This is the problem right here. Okay, we need Candida cleansers to get these guys under control. Okay, tumors and fibroids. Okay.
Those the demons Nemo was talking about?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see you listening, man. The International Society of Blood Transfusion recognizes 30 blood groups. There are in reality over 300. These are over 300 different strains of fungus which have colonized the human red blood cell. Blood types should be called fungus types. The word antigen itself comes from the term antibody generator. An antibody is a protein produced in the body to destroy virus or bacteria. Okay? Like I said, anything in your body that produces, that signals your body to produce antibodies is a fungus or something that has to be eradicated. Okay?
Oh, that's why they give like people antibiotics for different things.
Bam. Antibiotics are synthetic antibodies. Okay? So if anything is ailing the body and your body's not producing the right type of antibodies to get rid of it, or enough antibodies to get rid of it, then your health, that's when you notice it. Because your body actually produces cancer cells every day. And your immune system takes care of it without a problem. So you never notice it. You don't notice that you have cancer in your body all the time because your immune system knocks that out, right? All right. So note, there's only one type of blood cell. Antigens just attach themselves to the cell membrane or chromosome. These are the major blood fungus groups, okay? So I'm not going to go through them all, but you got your ABO, MNSP, the infamous RH, rhesus monkey. You got all of these guys here. Diego is very interesting as well. That mutation came about when what we consider to be Hispanic people now, but we know that the Hispanic people are still black and brown people. When they started to mix with the Europeans, that new fungus came about from that mixture. And then we have this guy down here, which is going to become very popular in the next 5 to 10 years. Glycoprotein. Okay, in fact, we're going to talk about a very infamous one. Okay, these antigens, which are mostly hydrophobic. Okay, hydrophobic again means anything that does not mix with water. So not only do these things not mix with sunlight, but they don't mix with water. Okay, so that's how you know they're just not natural. Okay, they do many things in the body, including but not limited to producing ammonia, sucking water out of the cells, killing other fungus, attacking stem cell templates, etc. Take Glycoprotein 120 for example. Okay, this guy right here is famous. Okay, so if you don't leave with anything else, I want you to remember this guy. Okay, I should have been able to take his picture. I wish I could have took his picture and put it on a wanted poster. Okay, Glycoprotein 120 is the yeast or fungus that induces apoptosis in your neurons. Okay, that's cellular death in your neurons. Okay, so it causes your neurons to just kill themselves, commit suicide. Okay, your neurons are responsible for all the light, well, most of the light conduction throughout the body, for your body being able to think and be cognizant and conscious and all that. No neurons, no function. You're a vegetable.
So basically, that's sugar. That's basically right.
Well, it's a sugar protein, but when you hear things like that, know that they're not just talking about like a sugar that you would eat. That's a living creature. They're just saying that because it's made out of a protein and a sugar. Okay, but it gets better, our boy right here. GP120 is what it's called. Also binds with T cell receptors to create HIV. Okay, this is our boy. This is the one that's ravaging the community worldwide right here. Okay, it blocks your calcium channels and causes cognitive motor complex in AIDS patients. Okay, and cognitive motor complex is basically the first phase of HIV transitioning into full-blown AIDS. Okay, all attributed to this guy right here. So we don't think we need to get a Candida cleanse, so you better think again. All right, but on each cell, the cell membrane, it has receptors, so you understand how this works. Those receptors are very similar to a good close analogy is like how your lock is on your door, right? You can't just put any key into that lock. It has to have a specific cut to that key in order to fit into the lock and turn it. The receptors on the outside of the cell are very similar, okay? And this right here, this glycoprotein 120, has the specific fit to bind or go into the receptors of the T cell. The T cell is what kills all of the nasties in your body. This is how your immune system shuts down, okay? Because it binds all of the T cells and makes them useless. Okay, the T cells will not be able to function with GP120 floating in the system. This is how your immune system shuts down. Also, the calcium channels in your body. Like I was talking about earlier with the water, how the water actually mineralizes itself with calcium. Okay, this is electricity. Your mineral conduction in the body is how your body conducts electricity. So even if you look at the cell wall, how the potassium and sodium exchange, when I was saying your body forces alkalinity with calcium and potassium, sodium and potassium. Very similar. When your calcium channels are blocked, your body's alkalinity goes through the floor. Okay, because calcium is the #1 thing your blood uses to alkaline itself. The moment your calcium cannot properly move throughout the body, there's nothing you can do to alkalize your body. You're just becoming more acidic by the second. That is also attributed to this gentleman. So if you think about how that functions, we're shutting down your body's ability to alkaline itself. GP120. We're shutting down the ability of T cells to function in the body. GP120. Okay? That also, if you look at causing apoptosis in the neurons, then you know neurons is responsible for all of the function in your brain. We're shutting down your body's ability to think and even process information. All of that's this guy. All of that's this guy. Okay? One little guy. One little creature. Okay? And there's trillions and billions of different species out there. Okay? So if you don't think you need those Candida cleanses, I don't know what to tell you. But just remember this guy right here. When they tell you the AIDS or HIV is ripping through the community, know that it's not AIDS and HIV ripping through the community. It's this sucker ripping through the community.
So how often should you take a Candida?
Well, if you haven't done one before, you need to just go on like a good 1 week. Not 1 week, like a 1 month to 2 month, where you hit drink a glass or two at least every day.
What type of cleanser is it again?
Candida cleanse.
We did it for 2 months, so.
Yeah, but no, after that, you want to go into maintenance mode, where you have a cup of tea, every couple of days. You want to still make that part of your routine. And you also want to, maybe throw some of that stuff in your food too, because herbs are seasoned.
Get it in the herbal store or something like this?
You can get it at any herbal store. I also have some available at www.theamberinstitute.com because I was suggesting for a long time that people get the Candida cleanses, and they were going out getting different generic type of Candida cleanses, and it wasn't as effective as it should be, and they thought they were effective because they were having bowel movements. Okay, having bowel movements and cleaning feces out is not necessarily the same as cleaning out parasites, and more importantly than the parasites, cleaning out the eggs, because there's usually more eggs in the system than parasites.
Sell it up New York?
It's online, so you can go online, order it.
I don't there a lot, so I'm saying if you got a shop at this.
Well, anywhere I'm at, you can hit me on the phone and I'll meet you and we can do it like that. Yeah. I'll make sure I leave my number. As a matter of fact, 404-457-0844. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I was watching this tape, right? This girl is deep, right? It's talking about, how deep in Africa where they starving out malnutrition, and they was bringing them malaria and AIDS. They had doctors and scientists coming over there giving the community AIDS.
What's business?
Yeah.
The biggest, when people look back, right, and they say, man, we was because we have that gap, and it causes debates in the community, right? You have different scholars debating their different theories. Because we know at some point, because we've always been here, so we know at some point we were dominating the globe. Then at another point, we know, because we know how we live it now, that at some point Europeans washed us up. A lot of us don't want to admit that, but we wouldn't be in this position if they did. Okay, so at some point they came down and somehow they kicked our booty. Now, the Europeans are very clever, because what they tell you is that they did it with brute strength, right? So as they're building up the most awesome military in thousands of years, in your mind, a lot of people's minds, the only way to get back into a position of power is to take it back militarily, which would lead to even faster death than we're doing now. Okay, we can't, there's no, logic doesn't permit that. What really happened was disease is what wiped us out. That's right. Their diseases back thousands of years ago, when they were first coming down out of the mountains and things like that, was always 7 miles ahead of them. So people were dying before they had ever even seen a European. Before they ever seen European, before they even came down, and Africans were first looking at these people that were white, that scared the hell out of them because they never even seen that before. They knew that people were dying suddenly, and the reason being is because they coming down, moving down further, and their illnesses, they're now sharing with the animals and the vegetation. So as we going out, mingling with the animals and eating the vegetation and drinking the water that they also drinking, we just coming down where we just drop, bang, 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 bang. Now we see this guy. 2 and 2 makes 4. We like, oh, this animal is where this new stuff is coming from. By then, hundreds of thousands of us were going. And the things that they were introducing into our communities were foreign to us, so we didn't necessarily have remedies on deck to reverse that stuff. You know, we had to go into the lab to figure out, oh my goodness, how do we... So, all the way from the very first time we have laid eyes on Europeans to this very day, their number one weapon hasn't been physical strength, wasn't their cunning or their cleverness, wasn't the military, it was disease. This is why they have you buying grease to eat, carcinogens to eat. It's still the same. Okay? They keeping your numbers low because they can't reproduce as fast and they can't live as long. Okay? They don't have the Villi we just talked about. So by nature, you outlive them. Right? Our lungs are longer than theirs by nature. There's a wider by nature, but ours are longer by nature, which gives you a longer lifespan. Okay? It's just certain physiological differences that, you know, we just, if we was all in a healthy situation, we would live like 3 times longer than they would.
Yeah, I was like in the 1400s when one of the reasons that they don't say about why they had to come find a new land and they choose here.
The Black Plague.
It's because of the bubonic plague.
That's right. And listen, right. What a lot of times they don't mention about that is that plague only stopped when it ran out of people to kill. Yeah. It's not like they figured out the cure or the trick. It just killed everything moving till it was nothing left around to keep killing. And that was the end of the plague. Okay, but that plague just got busy. All right, but now it's still the same. It's still disease working. You know, it's still disease working, ravaging people. People now, most people walking around have 2-3 things wrong with them, and a lot of times, which I'm going to discuss in the next book that I'm coming out with, is we have a lot of yeast and fungus and illnesses going on in the body and in the brain that don't produce immune responses. They don't produce immune responses, which means technically there's no way for us to know what's going on in there. We don't feel anything, we don't notice anything until they get so large and pronounced that they create other situations.
Yes.
And we'll address the other situation, but we still have the root in there. So that's why we got to keep that maintenance going, where every so often we just send something through the system to just wash up anything that don't belong there. Every so often, because fungus and stuff like that comes from everywhere. It comes from the air, the carpet, the floor, the ground, pets. I mean, it's everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And then you come outside, you know, you shake your man hand. You know, people share cigarettes, and it's crazy right now. So kids go to school, they in school with the classmates, they cough, everybody, I mean, it's everywhere. So you gotta just stay vigilant. You know what I mean? There's no optimal level where you could just coast out. I mean, you gotta always put something in there. And the whole thing with your diet is you want to develop your diet to almost every time you eat, you're putting something in there that is, you know, antifungal, or something that detoxes the body in one way or another. And if you have a vegetative, you know, a vegetation diet, which we need to start using as the new definition for vegetarian, it's not just vegetables, it's vegetation. Grains, vegetables, fruits. You always are going to have a certain amount of detox going on. Okay.
I believe it's partly our fault for letting rhesus monkey evolve.
No, the rhesus monkey was here a long time. I mean, it's you know, the European thing is, I mean, that's a mess right there. You know, that's like a whole another lecture. But
real quick on the yeast piece, they said.
But I mean, he's it's not like I got you, brother. But I mean, you know, I'm not a proponent. Like, I'm not one of the guys that's like, we need to kill white folks and all that. You know, that's we just gotta study ourselves and take care of ourselves, and then, you know, he's doing something else and we doing something else. They won't even matter at that point, because
they won't let it get to that though, because they're so worried about killing black folk off. That's why.
Right, but nothing they can do. By nature, we're more powerful. So, operating from here, it's nothing they could do that we can't outdo. It's nothing that they can do that we can't do better. Period. So whatever they create, we can just create something slicker that knocks that out. As a matter of fact, look at this. Most things in nature is already set up. So as we look at GP 120, we see. Oh, hold on. Let me go to the brother. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask a question. They sell nutritional yeast and they sell brewer's yeast as if it is
no good. Not for us anyway. See, we got different physiology. The European is a yeast-based individual, which is why, just like these yeast and fungus can't stay in the sunlight, neither can he. Right? Because his body is based, so these things are healthy for him. That's why drinking milk, which we know is psoriasis cells, which is basically pus and animal hormones, is good for him. They're only 5% lactose intolerant. We're 95% lactose intolerant. And the only reason they're 5% and not 0%, and we're 95% and not 100%, is because of the bloodline mixing for so long. Otherwise, every black person would reject milk in the body, and there's nothing wrong with that. They want to make lactose intolerance into some sort of disease or illness, where now they have things to help you with lactose intolerance. That's natural. Your body, you should never, that's your body rejecting the poison. That's what it's designed to do. Okay, you put a poison in, your body's supposed to try to get it out. And it's supposed to try to send you a signal saying, hey, don't do that again.
Well, they have, before they pasteurized milk was basically good when it was natural. They had healing process.
Listen, cow's milk was never good. Only for cows. Only thing good for humans is breast milk from other humans, because a hormone, and hopefully, I don't know if we're going to get to it, but a hormone is basically, oh yeah, it's 8:30, we probably won't reach it, but a hormone is basically something that gives your cells and organs instructions. Right? It gives your cells and your organs instructions how to regenerate, how to grow, and how to behave inside the body. When we take hormones from a cow, what are we telling our cells, organs, tissues, and bones? To grow, regenerate, and behave like a cow. This is one of the reasons why people that have weight on that they trying to get off, they can't get off of it. Because they on that dairy. Dairy is designed to blow you up. Cows weigh 600 and 700 pounds. We don't. We're not supposed to be trying to get that big, but if we on that dairy, it's sending those signals to your DNA, your cells, your organs, and your tissues.
Real quick, I just listened to something online. A guy was talking about how they do like organ transplants and blood transfusions. There's a woman that never smoked cigarettes, never drank in her entire life. She got a heart transplant from a guy who just died, and he apparently was doing something.
And she got everything he had.
She wanted liquor and a cigarette as soon as she got the transplant in her heart.
That's right. Because all of those cells,
it means something.
The body is the body is holographic by nature. And what I mean by that is, because they're calling it fractal symmetry, and I talk about it in the, I go into all of those different sciences, fractal symmetry, topology, torsion physics, and all that stuff in the Money Mind State book. But basically what it's saying is what our ancestors always said before. The microcosm and the macrocosm. Everything that's in the smallest thing is in the largest thing. Everything that's in the largest thing is in the smallest thing. So in each one of your cells is the entire blueprint for your whole body. So the moment you take cells, organs, and things like that from somebody else, you're now sharing their blueprint. That's why we have to practice sexual hygiene. Because when we kiss and we exchanging body fluids with somebody, we taking everything. 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 All of the good, the bad, the worst, the ugly, everything. One tongue kiss is a lifetime. We got all of the germs, the bacteria, the funk, we had everything. Don't listen to nobody tell you that stuff don't travel. When AIDS first came out, they were telling people, oh, don't worry about it, you can't get it unless you have sex. 2 years later, oh yeah, well, don't kiss either. A little while later, hey, don't use the bathroom after anyone either. A little bit later, some strains are airborne. A little bit later, hey, all that stuff we said, scratch that. You just gotta not have sex. So nobody knows.
Right.
Because this stuff is biochemistry. And what that means is that you can have certain things in your body that won't activate. Like you may have certain cells for that are encoded with certain illness DNA that will never manifest in your body, just because they don't have the catalyst that they require to start, or you haven't provided them with the proper toxic environment for them to flourish in. Okay, so you just got to be vigilant. That's the whole name of the game, is to be vigilant and keep the body as clean as possible. You know, a lot of people make sure the clothes is clean, iron, teeth is brushed, bloodstream looks like mud. You know, we got to keep the inside of the body clean and get as much water in and out as possible. We want to irrigate the body as much as possible. But so let me go into this. Green tea, EGCG in particular, which is the chemical in the green tea, protects the cells from GP120. So see, they can create whatever they want to create, but nature has already created everything there is to be created to protect your body. If we just get back in tune, then we be good. Okay? It protects the cells from GP120 by binding to all the cell receptors before GP120 can get there, allowing for the immune system to get rid of them. Okay? So basically, going back to the key analogy, ECGC also has that, it's the same fit as GP120. So it plugs up all of those keyholes and GP120 can't go in. So now it's just floating around in the middle of a whole bunch of angry antibodies. Out of there. Out of there. They're running them out of there, okay? It's like a police officer gets pulled into the prison. You in trouble. You know what I mean? So everything that we need is already out there in the bushes somewhere. All we got to do is get back to nature, and it's not, like I said, we don't have to worry about what they doing. We already designed on such a level that it's We just got to get back in tune and we good. These antigens come from many places, including but not limited to animal flesh consumption, domesticated animals, interbreeding between races like the Diego blood type, antibodies that have gone rogue and set up their own colonies, etc. Most of the bacteria groups have subgroups like the 70 species of the ABO system that we are familiar with. Where are you? Next slide. Okay. Fungus is a cornerstone of Western civilization. The diets support fungal growth more than human growth. The laws support yeast more than humans. And yes, even most medications and antibiotics are nothing more than bacteria or bacteria residue, i.e. penicillin and insulin. Okay? These things are all made out of yeast and fungus. Okay? This is why they tell you that antibiotics destroys all of the healthy bacteria in the body, because these are funguses. Okay, so what they're doing is they're figuring, okay, if we can't necessarily kill the bacteria, what we can do is find an even bigger, nastier bacteria to go and kill that bacteria. Right? Problem is that once those bacteria kill the smaller bacteria, they start looking around and they're like, hold on, this is comfy over here. And I'm the toughest motherfucker in here. This is all me right here. So now you just got rid of the devil you knew for the devil you didn't know, right? Grandmother used to say that. Better to deal with the devil you know than the devil you don't know, right? So yeast and fungus have no place in a healthy body. In fact, a healthy body is not habitable for these little vampires. One of the oldest medical documents on earth, known as the Eber's Papyrus, or the books of Imhotep, describes them as demons. Now, let me go back to this little guy here real quick, because this needs to be known right here. All right? Let me deal with another quick oxymoron, or just you know, some of the madness that doctors are telling folks. Like the doctor that told the sister, you know, don't drink water or what? Right, don't eat fruits and vegetables because it'll make you have a bowel movement. Yeah, is that crazy or what? But people that get diabetes, right? Even doctors that want to keep you diabetic and prescribe you insulin and stuff like that will tell you to improve your diet. You know, you got to go on a vegetarian diet, cut out the meat, blah, blah, blah. However, what they don't tell you is that insulin is made most times from pigs. So you're injecting pork right into your veins every time you take insulin. Okay? And when they can't produce insulin from pigs, it's produced from cows. So you always injecting animal flesh into the body. So all this whole system is designed to keep you filled with yeast and fungus and bacteria. It's nothing to do with you getting healthy. Okay?
See, they found out before they invented insulin, I think around the 1920s and 30s, they found out that vanadium they knew back then that vanadium would cure people totally from diabetes.
Absolutely.
So they put it under the table because they saw the marketable income that they would pay for insulin.
Yeah, vanadium is like Robin for Batman. Batman would be chromium and vanadium would be Robin. Like they work hand in hand.
Even today, vanadium and chromium is the best thing most black diabetics can take.
That's right. However, they want to change the diet because what the chromium and the vanadium do is supplies more fuel so the pancreas can keep up with the high demand. But what they want to do, if they want to get rid of the diabetes syndrome, quote unquote, is decrease the demand on the pancreas. They want to put in less sugar and less animal fat, and less grease, like we seen earlier, so the pancreas don't have to work as hard. But chromium and vanadium is the key. You want to get that in the herbal. You want to get that in the herbs.
Where do you? Oh, that's in the herbs. You get that from?
Every mineral that's on earth is in herbs.
But I mean, you can get them like from herbal store and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So now somebody, you know, like I have a nephew. Well, he 44 now, but he was taking insulin since he was like 6 or 7 years old. You know, he had broke his arm and he was ill, like, and they found out that he had childhood diabetes.
Well, let me tell you this, since you brought that up. And he's 44 years old, so we know he was born, I mean, we don't have to do the math, but we know he was born before the year 2000, right?
68.
Oh, 68. But he was pronounced as diabetic at 6 years old. 6 or 7 years old. Here's the statistic, all right? This is crucial for anybody that has children that were born after the year 2000, okay? Especially if you have more than one that were born after the year 2000, like me. I just had twins not too long ago. So I definitely got 2 born after the year 2000, right? But here's the statistic, and this is why this information is even more crucial. 1 out of every 2 black or Hispanic child born after the year 2000 will be diabetic before they turn 18. Period. Okay? Diabetes is an industry, it's a business. I went to Whole Foods the other day, and I'll be busting out loud. People be looking at me like I'm a weirdo, but it is what it is. I see they had Diabetes magazine in there. I thought that was the funniest thing I could imagine. Diabetes magazine? Like, you niggas crazy?
Yeah, I seen it.
So that's the new thing? Like, you get some Jordans, you get a little diabetes, like, you ballin'. Diabetes magazine. I was like, how do we allow, that's how you know that you live in a society of Canada, like this, it's a sick society we live in. Like, we wouldn't allow them to have a magazine called Rape Your Mother magazine. Like, we wouldn't allow that. Immediately the uproar would be crazy. But a lot of our mothers die from diabetes. A lot of our children dealing with that. A lot of us are dealing with that. How do we allow that to be on the shelf? That's madness. A magazine. And it's promoting the diet. I looked on the cover, it said, promoting a healthy diabetic lifestyle. I said, this is madness. That's just like your man Magic. Magic promotes a healthy HIV lifestyle. Like, how the hell are people so stupid? You can't call it anything else, but how could they be so stupid to think that there's a such thing as a healthy, sick lifestyle? Like, how does that work? A healthy diabetic lifestyle? A healthy HIV life? How could you be healthy and sick at the same time? There is no healthy, sick lifestyle. Like, this is madness. It's like a sugar-free sweetener. Like, what are we talking about right now? We got to really start to analyze some of these things that's going on, and then it'll give us greater insight into the community that we live in, the society. How they trying to play mind games with us. Because once you accept these things as cool, you know, as, oh yeah, I was talking to a little girl, and I was doing some work with some children in the school, and on around 161st Street in the Bronx, and the little girl was like, because when I ask the children, I always ask them before I get into the health information, so it makes it real for them, so they pay attention. You know what I mean? You go into this, some adults be dozing off, you know what I'm saying? So the children start moving around, slapping other children in the head. So I asked them first, whenever I talk to children, how many of them know adults in their family that have cancer? Always, more than half raise their hand. How many know people with diabetes in their family? Always, more than half raise their hand. So now their ears perk up. Okay? And the whole thing is one of the little girls was like, well, yeah, you know, when you get older, you get diabetes and stuff. So our youth are accepting this as a part of their lifestyle. You know, this is what happens. You know, I'm going to get older, I'm going to be a man, I'm going to have some children, I'm going to get a little diabetes, a little cancer, you know, this is what it is. That's madness. And this is what these magazines and these things is put out there for. So you can have the healthy diabetic lifestyle.
Basically, society as a general, because you don't know how to stereotypically think for your own self. In the commercial, the advertisement, and the market, everything is geared for you to be pre-diabetic or diabetic just by what you eat.
Absolutely.
We're not eating our natural food. Naturally, we came up on food like we didn't have cooked food. Because when you cook food, it takes away the enzymes that's good for your body.
Right. Well, I say this. We didn't have heavily cooked food. Because we did, you know, we lightly stewed some things, we boiled things, so we you know, people will say, whoa, no, they was boiling and they was stewing and cooked the way we think of it now is a lot of heavy heat, and we didn't do that because that destroys the molecular structure of what we're trying to eat.
We knew that.
But, right, we knew that. But we did, and it's nothing wrong with slightly cooking some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes when you're dealing with certain vegetables, you need to so that you can get all of the minerals in there. You know, some of that cellulose, which is in plants, is locked up tight. And your bodies can't get all of the energy out. Because when you're dealing with health, right, it's not about acid and alkaline. Okay, it's not about pH when you're dealing with food. None of that's the real deal when you get down to the nitty-gritty of your biochemistry. Because if you think about it, what is your stomach? And that's the first stop for all your food. It's a pool of acid. So no matter what you put in your stomach, it's going to be acid in 5 minutes. So it's not about acid and alkaline. It's all going to become acid. That's a part of digestion. What it really comes down to is how much energy you get out of the food that you eat versus how much energy it takes you to metabolize that food. Okay, so to put it in terms where it's easy to get for the family at home watching in DVD land, we're going to use the numbers 1 through 10. If it takes me 8 units of energy to digest some food, and out of that food I'm only going to get 5 units of energy, I just lost some health in the process. You see? I expended more energy digesting that food than I did getting that food. Okay? And that's where you want to get to mineral dense, nutritious foods because they have tons of energy in the food. So,
and they break down.
And they break down easy. Okay, so those are the 2 things you want to deal with. When you deal with starches, sugars, flesh, meat, grease, none of that stuff has any energy to it. In fact, you definitely want to stay away from all fried foods no matter what, because your stomach interprets. All right, say for instance you get some fried chicken or you have some fried anything on your plate, right? Now you get some kale, the most nutritious foods, you know, the superfoods, because now they got superfoods, so your plate loaded with superfoods, but you got one fried thing on there. Your stomach is going to interpret everything that you eat at the same time as fried because it's all going to be intermingled with grease. None of that stuff can be processed. Most of that stuff goes through whole form chunks into the large intestine, which then just feeds the yeast, bacteria, and parasites. So not only does it drain your energy, but it doesn't give you anything back in return. Okay, so that's where true nutrition is at.
Sometimes you know that I eat, and then all of a sudden you don't get tired, you know, feel tired.
Right now, oh, I'm glad you brought that up, because I go into that on the cellular water DVD as well. We call that in the hood the niggeritis.
Yeah.
Right? Got the itis. And see, that's also something that's killing us, just like the diabetes magazine, all these popular aphorisms or stereotypes that we have in our mind. Those things are killing us because we think like that's cool, like we ate something real satisfying because we've been programmed to think that. When we get the itis, that means we had a real plate like, whoo! I knocked that down, baby. You threw down. I had the mac and cheese and all that. I can't do nothing. I'm about to watch this. No. In science and in medical terminology, that's called hypolipemia. And what that is when you ate such toxic substances that you put in your body that it shuts down your immune system. And your body literally does not even have the energy to think or do anything. So it wants to put you unconscious until it can recover. Hypolipemia. Or you could just look up lipemia.
L-Y, right?
L-Y. L-Y or L-I? You see the L-Y-P-E-M-I-A. I think it's L-Y-P-E-M-I-A. Yeah. So all of those things is killing us. You know, just like I was saying when I was in Maryland last week. You know, and this is another thing. We think when somebody gains weight, that means that they're doing good. We think when we see somebody losing weight, they sick. This is killing us. Why would somebody gaining more weight, why would that automatically lead up, hey man, you must be doing, you eating good. Where you work at, man? They hiring? No, that don't mean you're eating good, that means you're eating a lot. And probably the wrong things. Right? You losing weight, you might be doing something in the right direction. You're starting to get rid of some of those toxins and fats, and you're starting to get rid of the things that you shouldn't have on your body. You know? But women have come accustomed, they like that construction worker look now. You know, when we got the big shoulders and the strong back with the chest, when we got the gut, you know what I mean? Yeah, baby, you know I'm gonna work on this gut when the summertime roll around, you know what I mean? You gotta get rid of thinking like that. Alright? So in terms of the, what was that? Okay, in school we learned that for each aspect of the body, I guess we're still wrapping up the blood and the parasites. In school, how much minutes we got left? Alright, we got about 15 minutes left, so I'm going to try to go through as much as possible. In school, we learned that for each aspect of the body and the baby, we inherit one chromosome from mommy and one from daddy. Whichever is stronger, okay, dominant, is the one we will reflect. This is not true in terms of blood. You inherit the fungus of both parents. So if mommy is type A plus and daddy is type B plus, you will have both blood types or blood funguses competing in your body for life. And the reason why I say competing is because different funguses have different operations, different diets. They live in your body, like they're living little creatures. So everything that you do, they do. They eat, they have sex, they multiply, they urinate, they defecate, they're living little creatures in your body. Parasites can lay between 25,000 and 2 million eggs a day. Now check this out. Every time you move your bowels, 30% of that is not yours. All the family that you have incorporated that's living in there also that's moving their bowels.
Wow, so if you're not moving your bowels.
So if you're not moving your bowels, that's like when the doctor said to the sister with the Crohn's disease, hey, stay away from fruits and vegetables if you don't want to move your bowels. He giving her a death sentence. Because Crohn's disease is basically too much bacteria, a very resistant strain.